Last week, I interviewed Susie from Susie on the Farm. You guys may know Susie from her YouTube channel, where she creates beautiful upcycles and DIYs. She just opened up her own storefront. And if you've always wanted to open a storefront, then you guys, this is an episode that you'll want to take a listen to. In this week's episode, I have been told by viewers and listeners that I am superwoman or I've been called the energizer bunny. They always want to know how I accomplish so much in one day. Well, if you have always wanted to know how I do get so much done, then stick around and I am going to give you guys my top 10 tips.
Welcome to the Rescued and Upcycled podcast with weekly inspiration, tips on trying new techniques, and overall real talk about owning your own DIY business. Now here's your host, Sonnet Ullenbrook.
Welcome back to Rescued and Upcycled. I'm your host, Sonnet Ellenbrook. I want to thank you guys for joining me on my podcast. Now, this is episode 28. And if you guys are new here, welcome. I interview creatives, small business owners every other week. And I just love talking about all things business. I hope I've been inspiring you along with my guest host that I like to have on. And then just tackling the different topics each and every week. Now, time management, this is an area that I needed help with. I can be totally honest and upfront with you guys. I I really thought that I was the best multitasker. I actually told people this. I am the best multitasker. I can accomplish so much because of my multitasking skills. Well, I was so wrong, you guys. I actually, after I sat down and looked at a day in my life, I was actually a squirrel in training. I was doing a lot, but I would start a lot of stuff and then I would go on to the next thing. I would have a squirrel moment and I would be over doing that. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm multitasking. I am multitasking. I am working on something that needs to get done as well. No, you are just starting another project. So, with that said, I decided to really analyze what I did in a day. And that's when I discovered that I was the best squirrel ever. And I really was not a good multitasker because multitasking, you guys, is not a good idea. I can just tell you right now, if you call yourself a multitasker, stop doing it. So, I am going to cover my top 10 tips of how I was able to start getting so much done in a day and how I accomplish so much stuff in one day as well. So let's go over these top 10 simple tips. But some facts first, you guys. Did you know that by having good time management skills, it actually increases your productivity? Oh, wow. Can you believe it? It also reduces your stress. So when I accomplish a lot in a day, I feel a lot less stressed. When I know that a project that has been hanging over my head is done, it reduces my stress. It also gives me better control over, my workflow. And it helps me meet my deadlines. So I don't always feel like, oh my gosh, this is hanging over my head. If I have it all managed out properly, I get it done. So, the one thing I have been hearing from my membership group, I talked to them about time management skills. And the things that I was hearing from them, I asked them, what are your struggles or how are you feeling about time management? And many of them said, it's really hard for me to focus. It's hard for me to focus on accomplishing stuff. My family gets in the way. Not that, you don't want to make it seem like your family is getting in the way, but family is always coming first. So you have to prioritize like during the day where you want to work and then where your family comes in. So work life balance. Breaking down or like shutting off your work to create. So many people work from home and it's really hard for them to juggle like creating or working on your business and stopping working as well. Then they also said, just, in general, work life balance, like because they may be working a full time job and having that good work life balance, they feel unorganized. They're overwhelmed. They have too many ideas. There's, rabbit holes. Like they just all of a sudden get down on a rabbit hole or they feel like a squirrel, like I did. So, I sat down with them and I broke it down about what my top 10 tips were. The first thing I did is I prioritized my entire week. I sat down and wrote it down. You guys, I brought actually one day I was waiting for my daughter's softball tournament to start and I pulled up my notes and I just started typing and I typed out Monday through Sunday. And I just wrote it out Monday through Sunday. What did I want to accomplish each day? And I prioritized by urgency. So I actually took all my big items, like things that I needed to get done, and I prioritized it. And then I also then went in and what are like smaller items. Like these are things that have to get done every single week. So by doing that, it really made me see a big picture because honestly, I have a lot of big things that are going on. I have to tape a podcast. I have to create a YouTube video. I have, the prep work for my makers boxes. I have a social media that I want to, there's a lot of things that are needs that need to get done. So instead of like each day going in and going, oh my gosh, what do I need to do today? And then trying to quick jot down a to do list, I prioritized them by what day do I do this? And so, like Tuesdays are my podcast day. So every Tuesday, what I do is I record my podcast. So every, Monday I do this. And so basically I just laid it all out. And just by doing that and prioritizing when things needed to be done or what days I needed those done on, that alone, just taking away those big pieces made me feel so much less stressed. Okay. So, with that said, then automations are number two, you guys. So, after I prioritized, I looked at what things can I automate. And when I talk about automations, I think about number one is social media. What I was doing each and every day, you guys, is I would get up and I'd be like, okay, I need to upload or I need to do this on Facebook and I need to do this on Instagram and I need to do this on this platform. And I was spending so much time trying to figure out what to post, when to post it. And or I would have to stop like midday and go, oh my gosh, I have to do a post. Now, what am I going to do? Or I have to add a video or I had to do this. And what I decided to do is on Sunday nights when we are not doing much but watching TV and just winding down from the weekend, I sit there because I don't like to really watch a lot of TV, you guys. So on Sunday evenings, I schedule all of my posts for the week. So I sit down, I jot down like, what do I want to talk about on this day? What do I want to do on this day? And I pre-schedule them. And it takes so much pressure off of me. I don't feel like I am like trying to like when you're put under that pressure to try to figure out what to post, you don't feel creative. You don't know what to post. And so, what I like to do is sit down and just think about what I want to talk about, what I want to post on those days, and I schedule them out a week. And you guys, it takes so much pressure off. So, if you can start using automations to streamline some of your tasks, it's going to help just a ton. I can guarantee start doing that. And you can do that right through like your Facebook app, your Instagram app, or whatever or platform that you're using. You can pre-schedule all of that. So I would highly recommend doing that. Now, number three, planning, writing out a schedule. So we talked about prioritizing. I took those big items, but prioritizing can also be prioritizing your day. So I prioritized all my big items right away, but then I am writing out my schedule. So every day I have a to-do list and I know what my big, items are that I have to accomplish each and every day. But there are little things too that happen or I need to accomplish. Like I have to do orders, I have to do, whatever my to-dos are for the day. So what I do is I write them all out. And you guys, doesn't it feel good when you have a to-do list and you accomplish one of them and you scratch it off? Sometimes I even have things that are not on my to-do list, but I do them. I actually add them onto my to-do list and scratch them off. Just it makes me feel like I've accomplished so much more. And I would highly recommend each and every day writing out a to-do list to keep you on track. You definitely want to stay on task of what you want to accomplish. So, that is what my number 3, recommendation is writing out a schedule each and every day, like your to-do list, and making sure that when you accomplish it, cross it off. And I'm sure many of you are doing that already, but it's just a really good thing to have to do. This also by planning and writing out a schedule, don't think it's just for the week. Do it for the month. So you can like look ahead, work ahead. So if you do have some free time, don't just sit there and scroll through Facebook. No, work on what needs to be accomplished in the future as well. So working ahead or planning ahead is a really like weeks ahead or a month ahead is a really good thing to watch for. Now, this one, you guys, number 4 was definitely by far one of the hardest things that I had to ever do. Delegating. I used to be more of like a control. I wouldn't say I was a control freak, but I like to have control because I know that if I do it, it is done correctly. But you know what? I can teach somebody how to do some simple tasks that were taking up a ton of time from me, and I can delegate that to somebody else. Or if it was something that I wasn't good at, I could delegate that task then to somebody else as well. So, some prime examples, um, when I started my podcast and I had some major issues with my internet. So, if you guys have been following along, you will know that this podcast should have been started months prior, but I was having major internet issues with my internet provider. So, that kind of delayed it. I then got my editing software. I thought this was going to be super easy. I was going to have to learn an entire new editing software program. Well, I have a friend who is a whiz at the editing software program, and she offered to take all of my podcasts, I tape them, and then she goes and she edits those all for me and sends them on over, does all of that. That alone has taken off so much off of my plate because as I was like starting to tape these and the thought of editing and doing all of that on the back end and learning a new program, it was very overwhelming. So it is nice. I can come in here, I can tape, and then I message her and she edits and uploads for me. So that alone, you guys, was huge. The other thing too is with my maker's box. I realized that when I receive all of Royce's papers, for me to sit down and fold papers for hours and hours on end was a waste of my time. I could be taking those hours and I could be creating, I could be doing other things. And by me sitting down and doing that, I realized I could not do it. So instead, I found somebody to help me to do all of those types of tasks. The tasks that were really simple things, folding a piece of paper, stuffing them, all the prep work for my maker's box, I have found somebody to help me with that. So that has freed up a ton of time. So if you guys have simple tasks that somebody else can help you with, even like pricing, washing, like when I get items, when I thrift items, taking the time to wash the items, to price them, that too is very time consuming. So that is something I'm going to be looking at as well, having somebody help me with that area. So again, delegating, you guys letting go of some of the reins can be like scary. Also, you may think like, I don't have the money to do this. Honestly, it was the best decision that I ever did by having somebody help me with this and paying them to help me because uh, just my time is money too. And I was never going to be able to continue to grow if I tried to do it all. So I would highly encourage even having, like, if you have children, have them help you, delegate some tasks to them. Maybe, you can negotiate something, like rather than pay them, negotiate a fun activity. So just a thought. Um, now, that was number 4. So number 5, this was also another big struggle, setting boundaries, actually saying no to things, you guys. This was so difficult. I cannot even tell you. I realized very quickly that I had to stop doing custom work. It was too time consuming. People wanted me to do all this different custom painted furniture, custom painted barn quilts, custom jewelry. I just had to say, no, I don't have time for that. All that time that I was doing in one custom piece, I could take that time and use it elsewhere in my business. So by doing that, again, freed up so much more time that I could actually accomplish so much more. Um, and then it really also helped me have a better work-life balance. People talk about it's a real struggle. I mean, it is for all of all of us small business owners. It is hard to have a good work-life balance. I can tell you, I am thinking about my business 24/7 practically. I will. I'm always thinking of, I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything. Trying to think of new ideas. I'm constantly churning in my brain about my business. So because that, I know that I'm always going to be thinking about stuff with my business, that it is always a good idea to have a good work life balance. When I was taking these custom jobs, I was having to do those in the evening to catch up. There was just no time in my day to do these custom projects. By me saying no, I now have more time in the evening with my family. Also, with the work life balance and setting boundaries, I have to say to myself, okay, I'm checking out now. This is the time clock. I'm turning it off. Everything else can work. I can do it tomorrow because I do need that healthy balance, to spend time with my family. So, um, definitely keep that in mind. Set yourself like I always, when I talk to my membership group, I always say too, it is, it's my business. So, when I was working my 9 to 5 job, I'd wake up, I'd shower, I'd get ready. I went and worked out, I'd come home, I'd shower, get ready. I still maintain that same schedule because if I didn't, I don't know, if I just sat around in my pajamas all day and didn't do anything and I didn't go work out, I mean, I wouldn't feel very motivated. So I get up, I do these same things just like I did when I went and I worked at my normal daytime job. And I would highly encourage you to do that as well. And then, like I said, whatever time it is, clock out at the end of the day. And that too, I will be honest, it was a struggle for, clocking out because I was trying to do so much stuff. But by delegating some tasks, that has really helped. Now, focus. concentrating on one task at a time. And that is really key, you guys. You really need to focus on your one task that you have at hand. If you are not focused and you are in your mind thinking about all kinds of other things, that's going to be a waste of time because you're not going to be totally focused on doing whatever you are trying to accomplish at hand. And then it's going to take a lot longer. So if you focus, just do it and move on. It's going to go by in a breeze. Now, limit your distractions. And when I say distractions, I'm talking about getting those notifications. How many times are you doing something and you see your phone light up and it's an email or it's a social media notification? Or your kids are off from a day of school and they come in, or you have random thoughts. There's so many times where I'm just sitting there and I just start having these random thoughts about different things. So, what I recommend is turn off your notifications when you're trying to do something. If your kids are home, explain to them as well. If you have young kids, this could be hard. But I have adult children, and I do say to them, okay, guys, I am going to be working. I'm going to be doing this. I'm turning off my notifications. I'm closing the door. I cannot be distracted. So, for instance, when I'm taping the podcast or I am taping my YouTube videos, that's what I'm talking about. So try to, eliminate those distractions. Also, random thoughts, that's going to be a hard one, you guys, because I still to this day, I try to get myself in check. Like I'll be doing something and I'll have random thoughts. And I'm like, okay, focus on it, focus. So you have to get yourself in check. You have to start training yourself with those random thoughts. Now, batching your time, you guys, that's the next one. When I say batching your time, this is so important. So, for instance, on Tuesdays, what I do, I have to set this all up right here. And for me to set this all up for one podcast, I'm not saying it's a waste of time, but if everything is set up and ready to go, why not do a couple podcasts at one time? So at least do two, like if you're videotaping for your YouTube videos. I'm giving you some examples. I tried to do a couple videos at one time to try to get ahead. And I have been extremely ill for like the past month, I will be honest. And things have kind of fell aside. I am trying to play major catch up, but because when I was sick, I was so far ahead on some of the things that I didn't have to worry about that. So like my podcast, I had taped ahead so far that I was able to have some downtime. So keep that in mind too. There's that like buffer. So definitely start batch producing or group a task. So like I said with social media, when you sit down and you pre-schedule, like if you want to do it for a couple weeks ahead, go ahead, set a time, work on it, and maybe like do an hour, like block, batch your time or block your time, and that is really has helped too. Like I batch or like I set a time, like an hour aside, and then I batch produce whatever. And then at the end of that hour or whatever time, I just go on to my next thing. But batching time has been so helpful. You have no idea. Um, and then, I kind of mentioned this earlier on, but stop multitasking, you guys. You may think that you are getting so much done, but truly you are not. You are walking away from one task and moving on to the other. The only time I ever find that multitasking might be okay is when paint is drying. So, if I am working on a project and I can't go any further with any of the projects that I am working on because of paint drying, I walk away and I do try to do something else. Just standing there looking at paint dry is definitely a waste of time. But if you are multitasking at your desk, trying to accomplish a lot of different things at one time, it's not a healthy habit. So just stay focused on one task at hand, accomplish that, and then move on. And then my last number 10 is reflect on the day. So at the end of a week, reflect on your day. Like even at the end of the day, reflect on the day, find out what worked, what didn't work, or even in a week's time, what's working for you, what's not working, what's getting in your way, what is, like holding you back from being as productive as you possibly can. Eliminate the distractions, eliminate, whatever is holding you back, and or try to change your routine. So I guess that's what I would definitely recommend. That has been so huge. Just these top 10 items. And I'm going to recap is like basically prioritizing not only like your entire week schedule, but like even on your to do list, prioritize what's most important, accomplish those things first, and then do the rest on your to do list. Automations, you guys, use technology. Like I said, streamline a lot of your tasks. Planning out a schedule, like a to do list, and do it on a daily basis, a weekly, and a monthly. Having your calendar laid out in front of you, it's amazing. Like people always say to me, like, I can't believe you have a paper calendar. Really? Because do you know how I feel so accomplished or like I feel so organized having that in front of me? And the one thing I didn't say is I do the post-it note system. So I write everything on my calendar in those tiny post-its. That way, if I have to move it, I can very easily do that. And then, like I said, working ahead, weeks or months, like really get ahead. And then delegating your tasks to others. So, whether that be like an assistant or a child to help you, or a husband, delegate some tasks if you cannot do it all. And then setting boundaries, knowing when to say no, you guys, it's really going to help you with that work life balance. Focus, concentrating on one task at a time, limit your distractions, whether that be email, social media, and then, sit down and batch your time. So go ahead, batch produce your social media post. Go in and batch a time where you're going to check all your emails and respond to those emails at that time. But set up, a time to work on each of those. And then you guys just stop multitasking because you're not multitasking, honestly. And then reflect on the week, the day, the month, and what worked, what didn't, and then tweak it from there. So I hope that that has helped you. And honestly, just by doing these few things, you guys, it has helped me be so much more productive and feel so much more accomplished in a day. So I hope that these tips have helped you with that. And so, yes, I just thanks so much for joining me on my podcast each and every week. I hope that just these small tips can really help you in your small business journey. So, in next week's episode, I am going to be interviewing Jane Belante from Jane Belante Art. And she is going to be attending my retreat, and she is a mixed media guru, and she is so inspirational. And I cannot wait to give you a whole bunch of inspiration in next week's episode. Now, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, go ahead, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, you guys. If you're watching or if you're actually listening on any of the podcast platforms, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you guys just don't miss out on an episode. You can find me on all of the social platforms like Instagram, Facebook at Sonnets Garden Blooms, where I post a ton more content over there. Now, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode, and we will see you guys next week. All right, see ya. Bye.